Got it. Boom, ba-doom, ba-doom. It says we're streaming live and we're almost there, I think. Here we are. All right. We are on Facebook. Hello, Facebook.
Oh my God, it's happening!
It is. We're so excited. Hello, everyone. This is me, Wilrieke Sophia, and I'm here with my dear friend and colleague, Reid Mihalko. And you see our faces are so happy. It's because we haven't seen each other for a few years. And we're actually going to get to meet again in person, like physically, like being in the same space next week.
Ugh,
Oh,
I can't wait!
me neither. Oh, I'm
Yay!
so excited. So, shall we do just a little intro for those who have no idea who we are? Would you start, Reid?
Sure, I
Yeah.
will.
Mm.
So, for folks who are meeting me for the first time, my name is Reid Mihalko. My main website is readaboutsex.com, REID, aboutsex.com. And I'm clearly labeled as a sex geek. And I have the great honor and privilege of, well, now, right now, because it's been a couple of years, like traveling to Europe. I'm from the US to get to nerd out with the lovely folks in Amsterdam. Basically helping humans have better relationships and talk about the things that they're ashamed about and understand like how bodies work and like how to date their species and all the nerdy geeky goodness
Mm.
that I needed to figure out so that I could walk the world as the queer polyamorous slut that I am and leave the campsite better than I found it. And I'm so appreciative of you and all the work that you do, and I'm so excited to get to see you.
Me too. Thank you for that. Oh, you're definitely one of my favorite colleagues and like amazing sex educators in the world. So I'm super stoked to be here. So my name is Wilrieke Sophia. My main website is exploringdeeper.com. Um, I would describe my job pretty similar to yours. Like if I say it in one sentence, it's mostly like supporting folks to become more empowered and self like secure in the relationship with themselves and the relationships they have with others, and focusing that on intimacy on the broad spectrum of cuddles, of tantra, like eclectic neo tantra I like to call it. And I love to use kink, and I also consider myself polyamorous and queer, very queer in all the ways. I'm just yeah, just really happy that I get to make money and do what I really love doing and bring more
Mm-hmm.
love into the world. I say too, like I just really want to leave the world a little bit better than I found it.
Yeah.
So we're very much on the same page.
Yeah. And again, it's been, I mean, Monique Darling is who
Hmm.
introduced me to you. And I mean, how long ago was it that I got to come and co-teach and nerd out with you? That was like 3 years ago now?
I think almost,
Four?
yeah. No, not
Three?
four. I think about 3 years ago. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So I'm
yeah.
just super excited, and I'm actually in Europe right now because I'm in Portugal with my partner Allison Moon, author of Girl Sex 101, and we're on vacation, and so I, was sneaky, or not sneaky, smart to ask if you had time for us to create stuff together so that I could tack on jumping over to Amsterdam from Lisbon. And then I get to
Yeah.
write this whole thing off as a business expense. How smart.
That's very smart. Yeah, and we get to create cool things because it's so lovely to co-create in Amsterdam. I do not travel that much because I also take care of three kids, my three daughters. So my traveling is a little bit limited for the next decade.
Yeah.
But yeah, so today we want to talk about curiosity never killed the orgasm, and I
Hmm.
think we want to talk about how curiosity, like I think we both can share a little bit about, like, I sometimes tell people, like, can you put on your curiosity glasses when you meet someone else, like
Hmm.
looking at other people from a place of curiosity? Because no matter how much we meditated or how much mindfulness we did, it's really easy to look at someone and have all the how do you say, the judgments or conditionings from society that like kind of blur our gaze,
Hmm.
like blur what we really see. And I noticed that when I am really curious and see the other person really as a human being who's been through so much in life, like they, out of all the options they have in life, they're right now he is spending the most precious thing they have, their time and focus, with me. So can I then at least be like curious about the human being that they are?
Mm-hmm.
Um, it just improved, that just really improved my life to to step out of that idea of this is what I like, this is what I should look like, this is what the people I fancy should look like, this is what
Mm-hmm.
beauty should look like. Like looking with curiosity changed all that. Like how would you talk about this? Like
Well, I mean, when we were trying to come up with a title for our little Facebook Live, me being snarky and dorky was like, oh, well, curiosity never killed the orgasm as a title because for
yeah.
me, I mean, I think for a lot of things, and part of that was my own journey, like, and maybe this is an American thing. I don't know. You
Mm-hmm.
can
Mm-hmm.
speak to more of being not American, but like the idea that like we're supposed to know everything about
Yeah.
sex and pleasure and our bodies and other people's bodies, and the idea of like if I feel intimidated or uncertain, like that's the beginning often of, or used to be, and sometimes still is, of me starting to shut down because like
Yeah.
I'm supposed to know everything. And so for me, like learning how to rediscover or tap into that curiosity
Mm.
really opened up a lot for me. And and a lot of people ask me like, well, like, do you have any shame
Mm.
around sex? And I'm like, oh, I have a ton of shame. Like,
Lots.
I'm always
Yeah.
like feeling a
Yeah.
lot of shame, and a lot of that's like cultural conditioning and how I was raised,
Yeah.
but like the ability to stay curious and interested,
Yeah.
one has such a huge positive impact on other people because so many other people experience people being shut down, not being curious, so that when you can be curious
Mm.
for somebody else, I think it helps them open up and
Yeah.
feel seen or met in a way that a lot of people don't get met, especially in the bedroom. But then, like, I think a black belt level thing starts to happen is on a good day, I'm so curious, I forget about my shame. And those moments are like when you're a meditator and you're like, you get it, and your brain is quiet for a moment. But like, and some days my shame is there because I'm being so curious.
Yeah.
My body, or not my body, but my brain is telling me you shouldn't be doing this, or you
Yeah.
shouldn't be receiving all this pleasure. And so there's this really interesting thing of you get to stay curious and engage with people, and you can have your shame in the background, but it doesn't stop you. And I think
Yeah.
that's really kind of just being human.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, like
Yeah.
that's how it's impacted me. And then the wonder of how all bodies work,
Mm.
and then the curiosity of learning, like, how does your orgasm work, or how do you like to be touched, or how do you
Yeah.
like, what dirty words do you like to use during sex, like all those things for me as a geek, those
Mm-hmm.
things get me so excited, and then the
Yeah.
curiosity and the excitement helps me show up in ways that I couldn't when I was younger because I didn't have all these tools.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Yeah, I love that. What I notice in my personal sex life is that when I'm interacting with someone, that when I manage to approach them and approach myself with them from a place of curiosity, like I step out of the idea that sex either is right or wrong or good or
Mm,
bad, but that it's more like this trial and error of like what's happening when I do this, like what's it's this the exploration of like what happens if I touch this part of your body, and it's like, oh, I don't like that at all. Oh, that's really cool, that's great information,
yeah.
let's try it there. And then it's like there is no, oh shit, I did something wrong. It's just
Hmm.
like, oh, it's so cool, we found something that doesn't work.
Well, and the idea that, which is such a concept that I guess we don't get taught as kids, most of us, which is the like, when you find stuff that you don't like,
Mhm.
that's also a win
Yeah.
because it means you are exploring. Like, so many people haven't tried things they've always wanted to try
Yeah.
because they were afraid,
Mm-hmm.
or they felt like they wouldn't be good at it, so why should I try at all, especially if I
Yeah.
embarrass myself in front of you. But the other thing is, like, when you try something and you find out that something doesn't work for you, it's like that's a win because you were
Yeah.
trying new things, and now, like, just like with food, like, I
Mm-hmm.
tried this food, I don't like this food,
Yeah.
and now you know something about yourself that you didn't know before. And
Yeah.
people think that, well, like, what's more evolved is that I have to like all the sex and all the things and
Mm-hmm.
all the ways, because
Yeah.
if I was more enlightened, all of it would be pleasurable. And I'm like, no,
Mm-mm.
that's not how that works. Like, what's
Yeah.
evolved is that you like what you like and that you don't like what you don't like. But unless
Mm-hmm.
we are curious, how do you ever
Yeah.
find those things?
Yeah. And I think the most evolved thing is to always be open to learn new things
Mm-hmm.
and to
Well,
be willing to receive feedback,
well, and
right?
also because our bodies are changing. Like,
Always.
I'm over 50 now, and I'm like, my body doesn't do all the things it used to do,
Yeah.
and how things feel change. And then you might like one
Yeah.
thing with one person, but that same thing with a different person doesn't feel the same. And like, to be able to stay curious
Yeah.
and keep listening to yourself and to others,
Yeah.
like, that dance is the piece that I think will serve us no matter how old we are.
Definitely, definitely. It's I get the question often, like how do you become a good lover? And it's like it's never about the technique. Like it's great if you learn if you know certain techniques or certain something, but I think the most important thing is to stay open and to keep exploring and to keep being curious. Because if people ask me, like, how does a female body work? And then I tell them, well, it works in this way. It's different every time. It's different for every body. And then even if you have the same body, tomorrow is going to be
Mm-hmm.
different than today.
Yeah.
I can tell you through my hormonal cycles, it's like one day I like my boobs to be squeezed, and the other time you cannot even touch them, you can barely look at them, and I'll just be like putting your hand away. But there's different things that I will like at that moment,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's you cannot, and also this idea that we often have in sex is that we should somehow be clairvoyant, is that we
Uh-huh.
should know what the other person
Yeah.
likes, and if we're a really good lover, we know. I'm like, nah, no, 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 no.
I mean, it's so many of the myths that need to be busted.
Yeah,
I think it's the, like, literacy of learning how to be present and how to notice all the bullshit
yeah,
that growing up heaped on you, and then being able to push it to the side and then actually be with the people
yeah,
that you're with. And then bonus points if both of you are able to push things to the side and be with each other. Like, those moments are magic.
yeah,
And it's always a moving target, which I think is what is hard for a lot of folks, because we want it to be one fixed thing so that we can master it and we feel confident and we know
yeah,
we're going to do the right things and your needs are never going to change so that I can do a good job.
yeah,
But the bigger piece is to understand that it is always a moving target,
yeah,
but that you can show up with the curiosity and, like, that sense of playing,
hmm,
because when we can play, there really aren't mistakes.
yeah,
There's just redirection.
yeah,
and 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 I think that's what people are starving for, is actually play when it's sensual or sexual or erotic,
yeah.
not like this fixed thing that never changes.
Exactly, exactly. And you mentioned like there were magic moments when both could put all the thoughts aside and like really be in that space. But I also had like really magic moments where we tried something. It was a horrible failure. We had a good laugh, and then we had a cup of tea and talked about what a disaster that was. That like that can be amazing magical moments.
Well, and that, like, those moments when things don't go perfect,
Yeah,
but you can still be there with each other, then there's a trust and a vulnerability, um, and a sense of connection
hmm,
that so many people never get to because we're so
yeah,
afraid. we lose all of our curiosity. And then you never get to have that moment of like, let's try it different, shall
Yeah.
we? I mean, again, like it's like when you're learning how to cook something for the first time. Like a lot of times, the first attempts are horrible,
Hmm.
but that's how you get to the great attempts.
Yeah.
And even like I mean like even mediocre sex is still sex. Like even mediocre playing is en route to those magic
Yeah.
moments where you just have that like mind blowing thing that happens and you're
Yeah.
like, oh shit, are we ever gonna touch that part again?
Yeah.
Maybe you do, maybe you don't.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I love that. I love how you more often says like let's appreciate mediocre sex as well, because mediocre sex, like what we I think we are in certain spiritual growth ideas or meditation ideas, we are so focused on bliss and amazing high experiences, and like yeah, but we cannot have that all the time. Like our bodies cannot deal with that if we
mhm,
focus on that all the time. It's like so much pressure and there's so much stress. Like why not just, appreciate good? We don't always have to be best. We don't always have to be peak moments. Like just good is great as well.
yeah. Yeah, it's I mean it's interesting how much culture screws with our abilities to actually enjoy the moment.
Yeah.
And like I love my ecstatic experiences as much as anything, but
Yep.
also like just those it's not even mundane. It's
Mm-hmm.
just those normal moments
Yeah.
are so deep, and that's so much of our lives to begin with. And to be able to kind of, like a dolphin, like jump out into the ecstatic, but also continue swimming through the rest of it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, now I feel like I'm just babbling, but I think these pieces, not just talking about it, but actually getting to connect and practice
Yeah.
in like what we'll be doing, like building a container where we get to kind of not only talk about these things but have our feelings and then
Yeah.
also explore, because building and exercising those muscles and then feeling seen and witnessed by other people, like
Yeah.
basically if you feel like you're a freak and that no one understands you about these things, like it's so nourishing to have containers where people gather who feel the same, for
Yeah.
us to like normalize this but also like become more coordinated and
Yeah.
and practice our curiosity.
Yes. And that's what we're gonna do, right? Shall
Yep.
we shall we give people a little bit of a peek of what we're gonna
Yeah.
do next
Yeah.
week? Yes.
Talk
So
about it.
yes. So I will not tell everything. And we have three events. Like on Friday, we're going to talk about non-monogamy. On Saturday, we have a play party where the energy sex workshop. It's all going to be very awesome. But we just want to highlight what we're going to do on Sunday, which is
Hmm.
called Body Curiosity. And it's basically what we were talking about right now. It's like we are both so passionate about this and we want to share it. And one of the things that we're going to do during that day is that we have a team of volunteers of all kinds of, well, representations of gender, sexuality, of experience, physical experiences that we've had in life, whether it's about
Hmm.
ability or neurodiversity, or there's so many. We have in our team, we've got non-binary folks, we got cis folks, we got trans men, trans woman, a two-spirit, a whole a plentitude of beings in one body. We've got us, and I think it's about, let's see, about maybe 6 or 7 people, and we're going to show our bodies, like we're going to show our naked bodies to you, and then tell you a bit about how we identify, what we like, our sexual preferences, and some
Hmm.
things about what these bodies have been through, so that
Yeah.
you can witness that you can be curious, not touch us, but witness us, so that you can be curious about these bodies and what they've been through and what they look like knowing that story and then seeing the body. And then, of course, participants get to explore amongst each other as well, to your own limit and to your own, to the
Hmm.
extent of your curiosity. So it's like really all levels. We're going to very strong emphasis on boundaries, on the experience that you want to create for yourself.
Yeah. And one of the things I'm excited about, like nerding out with everybody on is like understanding how, how shame will get in the way and
Yeah.
how we can kind of practice like holding that while we're still being curious. And for some people, like maybe you don't have all the shame that I have that comes up, but like I can bench press a lot of shame, and I've learned over the years like how to show up with that, and that's
Yeah.
been very healing for my journey. But like how to understanding more about like sensation and pleasure and eroticism and how that works for folks so that we can practice like working with some of those techniques and letting our curiosity be a way that we can create arousal and sensation and pleasure,
Yeah.
and then like learning how to navigate that because that is a cool superpower because
Hmm.
then you get to let's say you're dating somebody who's never gone to a workshop like this before, like you get to have all these cool fun ways to say, hey, like
Yeah.
I want to try this thing with you, and like so try this kind of breathing and try this, and like and now tell me if you have the words like what worked for you, what didn't.
Yeah.
And so many people never get to have that kind of engagement ever when
Mm.
they're hanging out with other people or starting a relationship. And so to be able to hold space and encourage other people's curiosity, and to be like a curiosity midwife, or doula for folks, like that's a really wonderful skill set to have,
Mm.
just in life. Just like people who are great at like having
Yeah.
conversations at cocktail parties where they can engage and invite everybody in, like to be able to have the skills and feel comfortable enough with yourself to invite other people to be comfortable with themselves around sensuality, that is huge.
Yeah. 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 There's nothing I have to add to that. Yeah. I think this is a great note to conclude
Yeah.
this life with. I put a link in the description of this video to where the events are announced.
Mm-hmm.
It's on my website exploringdeeper.com under events. And there's only a few more tickets for this Saturday. And the other days tickets are going fast, but
Yeah.
there are still some more.
Yeah, and if what we shared tonight uh, not only got you excited, but if you think these kinds of concepts would be really useful for somebody that you know, please, if it feels appropriate, share the video.
Yeah.
Let people know that this is going on. Wilrieke, thank you so much for hosting me and letting me come back to
Sure.
Amsterdam. And I'm
Yeah.
so excited to meet you and hang out with everybody else. So thanks.
Yeah. Thank you too. Thank you for coming over. All right. And everyone who wants to see us more talk, Monday, 7 in the evening, European time, Amsterdam time, we're going to talk live on Facebook about non-monogamy.
Hmm.
So if you want to hear us talk, even if you're far away and cannot come to the live events, you can join us there for another chat.
Yay. All
All
right.
right.
Share
Thank
the
you,
video.
everyone. Share the
Bye.
video. Mwah.